to my review of the Defy trilogy by Sarah B. Larson. I just saw, like, my eyes just flicked over because I thought I saw someone like coming into like my front yard, and I was like, go away please, I'm trying to film. So the books in this trilogy are Defy, Ignite, and Endure, and this is a it's high fantasy, and it follows a girl named Alexa who, when her village and her parents are burnt to the ground, her twin brother disguises her as a boy so she can join the king's army instead of being subjected to the breeding house, where she will be forced into pregnancy after pregnancy until she produces more boys for the king's army. There she climbs the ranks to become the crown prince's personal guard, and she holds this position while trying not to let loose her actual gender. So this is a fantasy retelling of Mulan, and that's originally what drew me in. I was a little bit disappointed because I had very high expectations, I really want to say, going into the series, because I really love Mulan. Mulan is one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. It is my favorite legend. I just love just the sense of, like, in ancient times, a woman becoming more than she was expected to. Yeah, feminist. It was mediocre fantasy. Some aspects I really did love, while others I didn't. Like, I loved the world building. The world building was fantastic, but character development I really didn't like, as well as some personalities I didn't really respect. I really hated most of the personalities of the characters in this. They were very two-dimensional, but most of them I liked. A lot of them I did like, but there were one or two that I will not name until later in the spoilery section. Because yeah, spoilers. Because of all these reasons I have stated, I gave all these books 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, 3.5 technically out of 5 on the Georgia scale, and an 80% overall. So that was, it's a decent, like this series was good. It was a good series. It was a great introduction to fantasy. If you are not sure whether you like fantasy or not, I would go in with this. It is very, very easy fantasy. It is not as hardcore as like Throne of Glass or A Daughter of Smoke and Bone, or I'm thinking of any other fantasy I've got up there. There's a lot. Like, just give it, you have to, like all fantasy, you have to give it a minute, but it is easy ultimately to get through. It is very easy read. All 3 books are very easy. So if you need a recommendation to go read this series, read it. But I will say that people who read fantasy a lot will ultimately be kind of disappointed, because it is not the best fantasy out there, but it is a pretty good series. It's addictive to read. It's very addictive to read. If you have not actually read the series, I'm going to ask you to go now, because we're about to go into spoilery section and stuff, and I do not want to hurt anyone's feelings, so bye. Okay, let's do this. I'm like looking into the viewfinder. Bad Georgia, don't look into the viewfinder. Okay, this series, it was decent. It was really nothing to write home about. It was intriguing though, and I will give it that. I loved Alexa's personality and her will to fight. She honestly left like nothing get in her way, especially the attitudes towards being a woman, and there is a lot of that in this series. There's a lot of kind of like talk whether like women should be allowed in the army, whether women are as powerful as men, and I love that this was addressed, because it honestly needs to be addressed, and I see it done in a lot of books, but not enough. They just expect women to be like heroines who like weep in a man's arms, but like this addressed women and their representation in like armies and in power positions, and I loved it. Okay, but there is one thing about like the whole woman thing that really confused me, and that's like she never got her period ever. Like I did like let it slide the first time I read like the first book when I read it, and I was like, you know what, like maybe, you know, it just wasn't brought up. But I would think that if a female was pretending to be a male, they would at least bring up her period or lack thereof throughout the book. But no, it was not brought up at all in the whole trilogy. It was never brought up. And I did actually read a post by Sarah B. Larson stating why Alexa didn't get her period, and that was like she had a low body fat to like volume ratio or something, and I can say that that is actually total bullshit. You can't lose your period unless you are very, very, very skinny, anorexia, bulimia, eating disorders, medical conditions, that is how you lose your period. One of my best friends, unfortunately lost her period when she was diagnosed with anorexia. She dropped 20 kilos, she was very underweight, and she completely lost her period. Like, it is back now, like, it can come back. So I don't know why after Alexa revealed that she was a woman again, it wasn't mentioned after that. Like, it was just mentioned at all. So I'm kind of confused why Sarah B. Larson kind of, like, chose that. Like, you could at least say, like, it was secret. Like, she, like, hid fucking bloody rags or something under the floorboards. I don't know. At least mention it once. Like, I just found that pretty bad storytelling. Like, I would have mentioned it once. A lot of people would have mentioned it once. I mean, Sarah J. fucking Maas put, like, a whole chapter and half a book, I'm pretty sure, with, like, Selena. And, like, every guy ever going like, oh, period, what? It can't be that bad. Again, with Alexa, just with her, like, personality as a character, I loved her personality. I loved her relationship with Marcel, her twin brother. I really, really enjoyed it, but we only got, like, 20 pages of it because he, of course, fucking dies. I really wish there was more character building at the start. It jumps straight into action, which I guess is pretty good if you're just really in for a quick read. But I really, really, really wanted more. I really wanted more with Marcel. And it kind of went dodgy, especially in the other two books, when she was like, my twin brother was my life, I loved him so much. And I'm like, proof? On the other hand, though, Alexa's relationship with Damien actually was a highlight for me. I really loved that relationship, but I will say a negative about it was that it progressed way too fast. Way too fast. Way too fast. I mean, it was like 100 pages in and they're saying that they love each other, and I'm like, you really need to chill. I don't think you can love each other after like 3 days. I'm pretty sure the first book takes place over like a couple days. So like, I've become friends with people in like a day. I've become friends with people in like 5 minutes. But like, I've never gotten to that like romantic love in 5 minutes. I mean, I'm single as fuck, but like, I don't see how you can get to that romantic sense of love in 5 minutes and like proposing to someone after like 2 months of actually like knowing them. My favorite character though had to be Damien. Like, he was probably one of the most like three-dimensional characters. He was so, okay, not three-dimensional, multi-dimensional. He was more than 3 dimensions. He was multi-dimensional, multi-dimensional. Holy crap, I can't speak. He was very multi-dimensional, and he just had just a great personality, and you could tell why he did so many of the things he did, unlike many of the other characters. But I just loved him as a character, and he really brought up the story for me because just Damien. His character development was very, very good from the start to the end, but some of it felt way too forced. Like, it was just pulled out of nowhere, but most of the time I loved his character development. He was probably the most developed character in the trilogy. There is Rylan, of course, the other side of this love triangle. I didn't like him at all. I thought he was such a little shit. He acted a lot like those like Mary Sue teenage girls in YA fiction or just fan fiction. Like, he got so jealous. Like, it'd be like Alexa was like looking at Damon, and then he'd be like, never want to talk to you again, oh my god. And I'll be like, just shut the fuck up. Like, suck it up. Like, seriously. Okay, even though I hated him, I did not expect him to die. Like, when he was just like, oh, and then Rylan took his last breath, and I was like, bitch, what the fuck? When did this happen? Like, a lot of people died in this trilogy. A lot of people. Way more than should really die in a mediocre fantasy series. But I get why he died, and I get why people die. Because, like, war is, of course, filled with death. But how he died was just like, why? Like, why would you kill the other third of this love triangle to kind of make sure the other one stays canon? I was pissed off that so many people died though, because like I felt like we lost, like literally at the end of it we had like 2 characters that remained at the start. Everyone fucking died. Fuck's sake. I was so pissed off when Tenuri and Lenora died, because there weren't any women in this book. It's been a while since I read this book. So, Lisbeth was a female character, but she literally did not even appear in the last book. She barely appeared in the second. she was really only mainly in the first one, and there was just, we have two strong female characters who want to fight, who've been through so much, and then she kills them off. And I'm so pissed off. Why would you kill off two strong female characters? They had the capacity for so much, and I was so excited to see where to go, and then they fucking died. For fuck's sake. Yeah, another thing that I have, just touched on just then was that there were no female characters. I really wish there were more, especially with a woman main character, a female main character, who pretends to be a guy, and the whole story is about, like, stop underestimating females, they can fight as well, they're just as good as men. I'm like, yeah, but where's the proof that there are heaps of females who can fight just as good as men when you kill off, like, every female? Going on to the setting, though, I loved how diverse it was. There was a couple, like, white characters, but mainly they were just, like, they were half Blevanese, or they had colour to them, and I'm like, oh, look, race. I don't really see race in books anymore. It wasn't as diverse as some fantasy books, but it included diversity, and I was just really happy about that, because I just love seeing diversity just kind of flood in YA books, especially YA fantasy, because YA fantasy has such a good capacity for, like, everything. I will say, out of all the books, the first was definitely my favourite. The story was so well-rounded, the characters were well-rounded, everything was done well, it was compact, and from then on it just kind of got worse for me. The second book felt like the third book, the way it ended, and the third book, the characters weren't even together. I feel like, especially Silver Shadows by Rochelle Mead, the fifth book in the Bloodline series by Rochelle Mead, books technically go on longer. I don't like them when the main male character and the main female character, like love interest or something, are separated. I just feel like if you want to make it a kick-ass, like, I'm like slipping. If you want to make it a kick-ass finale, please make the characters, like, at least be together, like, once. Like, please, come on. They're there for a reason. Fuck's sake. Okay. The last book, I'm going to talk about the last book here for a bit. Characters became, sparse. There was... we never saw Jax again, ever. Lisbeth made, like, 0.1 of an appearance. The only character that really, like, from the first book that made, like, made it through alive was Duran, and he had, like, 10 pages. Legit. But altogether, I did enjoy the series. It was a quick read. I know I'm bitching about it a lot here, and I don't know why I'm speaking about it so negatively, but I've like changed positions 100 times throughout this video. I did enjoy the series though. It was fun, it was light, it had a very good take on fantasy. So, you know, read it, tell me what you think, tell me what your thoughts are about this series. Do you like it, do you not? Like... Hey! So I hope you enjoyed this video. Yay. I will hopefully have another one up for you soon. So I will maybe see you soon. Maybe see you soon. Nobody knows anymore. Nobody knows. Okay. Bye!